Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. In this one I'm going to be talking about the car you can see behind me, Mercedes EQC, which has been my car for just over a year and a few months, actually a year and a few days. Decided to get rid of it, and we'll talk about why in a second. So let's hop in the car and I'll talk about why I'm getting rid of it and the things that I liked and disliked about this car in the 1 year that I've had it. Let's go. Seatbelt up. I just realised I brought the microphone because it's windy out. I didn't use it, so you might not have been able to hear what I said in the intro there, but whatever. Let's get going and we'll talk about, let's start with why I'm getting rid of this car. Okay, so the reason I'm getting rid of this car is for two reasons. My circumstances have changed. That's the main one, that's the big one. And secondfold, it's not really what I wanted. It was a sensible choice, and in that sense it's not let me down. It's not let me down at all, but it's not really what I wanted. So let's start with circumstances have changed. So I got this car in a PCP finance deal, and when I got it I was in a different job. Oh, some flood up here, and again I'll get onto this later on, but as we're going through the water, I'm going to say that where I live in the country, I live surrounded by fields, and I know it's really hard to understand for people that don't, and people that don't experience flooding on a regular basis, but it floods a lot where I am, and I need a car that can kind of cope with that a bit more effortlessly, but I get distracted. So I got the car in a PCP finance deal, and when I got the car, it wasn't my main car. I had the Alpha, which I don't think I released a video on, but the Alpha is also now gone. I had the Alpha, and I also had this, and I said I only did 6,000 miles a year, which was accurate then. And it was not used, I didn't have the job I do now, it was not used for work, and with my job I do use my vehicle for work, so I've got to add business insurance onto that. So yeah, so the circumstances in terms of the finance and things have changed, which obviously once you update it, it changes the rate of what I'm paying on here. And insurance wise as well, this car, for me anyway, is not the cheapest to insure, and once I update those things to what I'm actually doing and the purpose I'm now using it for, the insurance goes up. It's still affordable, but it's a factor in why I'm getting rid of it. The second reason why I'm getting rid of it is it's not really what I wanted. For those of you that have seen me before, which won't be many because this isn't a big YouTube channel, this is probably slow down mate, you're on a country lane, you can't come speeding over bridges. And that's the problem with people that don't live around here. They just kind of don't understand the general etiquette of the roads around here. You get people like that. You know, this is a blind bridge here. He literally came flying over it. Just slow down. There is, you know, there's every chance that there's going to be someone on the other side. But again, I digress. So yeah, it's not the car I wanted. If you've, as I said, you're unlikely to have seen any of my previous videos because this isn't a big channel. This is probably the first video of mine you've clicked on. But if for some reason you are a subscriber that's clicked on another one, you will have seen that I had a Range Rover Sport, a 2005 Range Rover Sport, not a new one. And I've got to say, my personal experience is once I had that car, it wasn't the best example. It did have some problems, which meant I didn't have it for longer than 3 months, I don't think it was. I did sell it. But for me, for what I like for in my stage of life right now, it's a perfect car for me. If I was to have one car for the rest of my life, it'd be a Range Rover. I like the size, I like the utility. I mean, at the time it helped me move house, which is why I'm out where I am. I moved from a city to a more rural area. Without it, I would have had to pay a fortune in moving vans, and it's just a brilliant car to have. Despite the flaws, as I said, it wasn't a perfect example. It was a brilliant car to have, and it's really what I wanted. But the negative side of Range Rover ownership is the faults and the repairs, which I did experience with that. So as I said, it wasn't a perfect example. It did have faults which I didn't want to rectify because they were suspension faults, and it was a case of I would have had to diagnose and rectify. I only paid 5,000 for the car, and the repair of it would have been over half the value of the car, and for me it wasn't worthwhile. So because I grew to like the utility of that kind of vehicle, at the time I had an i3 alongside it. Actually, I had an i3 alongside the Range Rover Sport, and I also quite enjoy EVs and what they offer in terms of power, acceleration, power, performance, but it doesn't cost you a lot in terms of economy to run. So I liked that about EVs, and so I decided to roll the two into one, and I decided to go for an EV that nowhere near as big as a Range Rover Sport, but an EV that was large enough and practical enough, and also yeah, I decided to go for utility, size and practicality, and the convenience and power of affordable power, that electric vehicles offer. And that's how I ended up with the EQC. And for all those reasons that I purchased it, it's been absolutely brilliant. I get instant torque, 700 Newton meters of torque instantly when I put my foot down. In terms of people will worry about charging, I have a charge point at home. So for me, I drive for work. It's been no problem. I plug the car in when I get home. If I know I've got to go to work the next day, if I've got a trip, I do about 75-80 miles a day as a round trip for work, and for that I only charge this car up to 80%, and I don't even need to do that, and it will do it comfortably. I don't need to use public charge points or mess around with the inconvenience of public charging and the expense of public charging. I just plug it in to I've got a 7 kilowatt fast charge at home, plug it into there, charges me up overnight. Even in the winter I only use 80%. In the summer I actually charge it up to less than that because your range improves, and I'm good. I'm good. I do that every night that I know I've got to drive the car the next day. So range has been no problem at all with me. It's got a 235 mile range and just 8% of the battery. That's about 180, 190 in the winter. In the summer, 200. That's all I need. So I've had no issues. The car's been practical, reliable, it's comfortable, it's luxurious, it's done absolutely everything I want it to do. And here comes another van speeding over another blind bridge, as they do. So those are things that I like about this car. It's, what can I say, if I summarize it again, it's quick, plenty of torque, luxurious, comfortable, and offers enough utility. It's not the largest, it's a compact SUV, but it's big enough to fit my family, which is a family of 3, and all the things that we bundle into the back and such and so forth, it's been completely fine. So I'm just going to pull up here for a little while. Just pull up here for a little while I talk about it. Guys, sorry, I've just realised there was music playing in the background there, which considering I'm using my phone to record this is unusual. Usually as soon as you start recording, it cuts the music, but hopefully that's not a problem. You guys can hear me fine, and hopefully I get no copyright strikes on this video. So what's done is done. But yeah, so we've just covered the things that I like about this car, and now if I talk about the things I dislike, there actually isn't much, because I don't want to nitpick, because the car's been perfect. I've had no problems, no faults, nothing at all, no issues to report. What I don't like about it though is it all stems from the fact that it's not really what I wanted. What I really wanted was a Range Rover Sport. And this was, as I said, was a compromise. It was a compromise between two vehicles that I had at the time that I liked, which was the Range Rover Sport and the BMW i3, and I put them together to get this as a compromise. But as the circumstances have changed, the number one thing I dislike about this car, and not just this car, all EVs, depreciation. So my i3, when I got rid of it, was in a state of negative equity. And this car, I've only had it a year, and I really thought it would depreciate better than it has, but in actual fact it's depreciated more than I expected, and again it's in negative equity. That's that's my number one dislike. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. It really bugs me. So I think what it is when you buy an EV, I think you're just going to accept, I don't know when this is going to be resolved, but you're going to lose money. You're going to lose money on it. It's unavoidable in the current market. I don't know when it's going to be resolved. This is slightly raised up than your average car. You do not tower, but you are above your average cars, but you're not above everything else. Almost every other SUV is above you. A Nissan Qashqai is bigger. I can't speak. A Range Rover Evoque is bigger, and these aren't big SUVs. So that driving position, if you wanted something a bit more commanding, it's not really here. Because of the curved and long bumper, the visibility place in the car isn't that great. I haven't had any problems with it because I don't tend to struggle with placing my vehicles, but if I'm being honest, visibility isn't that great. Same with the visibility at the back, because of the roof line, because of the small rear mirror, visibility at the back's not that great, but you have cameras to compensate for that, so that one's not such a big deal. The bigger deal is what I was starting to mention, is the batteries beneath the floor. So because they're beneath the floor, because this is a compact SUV and it is quite compact, it's long, it's probably as long as the car I'm replacing it with, probably not much less in length than a Range Rover Sport actually, but it's long, so you do have the leg room, you do have the space. It's just in terms of headroom and how high ground clearance, it's not that much, and the batteries beneath that reduce it even more, and it reduces it so much and it adds weight so much that if you go over a speed bump, and it doesn't have to be particularly large, you will hit the bottom of the car against that speed bump unless you slow down to a stop, and that's really annoying. I mean, you just don't expect that from any car with SUV in the title. You shouldn't be scraping speed bumps, but you do and will in this. So I did this like that, but it's one of those things that it's a pet peeve. It's not a deal breaker for the car. If you're aware of it, it's simple, isn't it? You just slow down and don't speed over speed bumps. So there's that. And I mean, in terms of other things I dislike, there's not really anything else. Yeah, so it's as I head back home now, that's it for another one. But I mean, let's pay attention to pulling off. Yeah guys, so that's it. This is the end of the road for the EQC, and the end of the road for me and EVs for a little while at least anyway, until it becomes mandatory. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice car. It certainly is luxurious. As I say, I've received a lot of compliments in my ownership of this car. Most people, when they see it, you know, they do compliment, especially when they come inside and look at the interior. You know, I always get, oh, this is a nice car. So I really haven't had too many negatives apart from the ones I've mentioned, and I don't want to put anyone off. This car is still going to be suitable for a lot of people, and it's just no longer suitable for me. Yep, it has flooded up here again, and this is the one that I had to turn around from before. It's not too bad at the minute. It's just a small flood. Cheers, mate. So yeah, I mean, it's, as I say, it's not to put anyone off. Hopefully I've kind of convinced some people still that were interested in getting this car. If the circumstances are right for you, it is really a fantastic car. As I say, it's plenty of size in terms of size for the family. It's quick, instant torque, it's luxurious, it looks nice. Yeah, it does tick a lot of boxes. Just unfortunately for me, it no longer ticks enough boxes to make sense. So that's it. That's the end of this video for me, really. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys found this informative, and as I say, I hope it helped some people who may have been considering this car or whatever, you know. Hope someone found some use out of this video. So thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe. Till the next one, guys. Bye bye.